It's Officer Davidson here, and I'm gonna have to see some license and registration. No, I'm just kidding. Hi, it's Brandon Davidson, and today's presentation is mainly going to be focused on the techniques and methods scientists have used to gather information on trilobites during the Cambrian period, and then also some interesting things that we've discovered about the trilobite species. So the age of the trilobites is also known as the Cambrian period, and this is because there were so many trilobites during this time. Trilobites were definitely the dominant species. About 540 million years ago, the Cambrian period began, which is the very first geological time period of the Paleozoic era. Before this period, most organisms were soft and squishy and lacked any harder types of body parts. There were many worms and sponges before the Cambrian. But during the Cambrian period, organisms with hard parts started to appear on the fossil record, and organisms started to spread and diversify very quickly, which is why it's also referred to as the Cambrian explosion. Trilobites appeared at the beginning of this period and are often regarded as one of the most successful creatures ever to live. This is because they were on the Earth for over 300 million years. And just to give an idea of how long that is twice the span of dinosaurs, how long they were here on Earth. And they lasted up until the Permian extinction, so they were here for quite a bit. Because trilobites have been preserved so well in the form of fossils, scientists are able to conclude that trilobites did in fact survive during these spans of time. So what exactly are trilobites? Trilobites are a fossil group of extinct marine arthropods with a heavily calcified external skeleton that populated the oceans from about 540 million years ago to about 250 million years ago. Notice the word marine because later I'm going to discuss some new research that I found regarding trilobites and where they ventured. Just keep that in mind. Their name, meaning three-lobed, derives from the distinction between the elevated longitudinal axis and the flatter regions that bound it. Because of the nature of trilobite fossils, scientists have been required to use the preservations and the anatomical characteristics in order to understand how trilobites lived and behaved. The trilobite body is divided from anterior to posterior into a head region where the mouth, stomach, eyes, and antennae were located, and a trunk region where the segmented body construction is more evident. Although scientists have found many trilobite fossils without eyes, the oldest eyes known on Earth are the compound eyes of trilobites, which have been found in various fossils around the world. These eyes most likely help trilobites to see predators and thus protect itself better. Trilobite eyes were very different than ours, of course, for their lenses were made up of calcite. On the same note, scientists had thought for a long time that trilobites were incapable of enrolling, but fossils have been found in recent years that show that trilobites were able to roll up in self-defense at a relatively early age in the existence. It would curl its head underneath its tail and protect itself from harmful organisms or threats. Some trilobites grew to be the size of platters, and eventually formed up to 60,000 different species, and new species are found all the time. Most of these species have a highly conserved basic body plan, and scientific analysis of morphological features have brought interesting adaptive explanations, but other features still puzzle scientists as they can't really find a good explanation as to how or why trilobites developed to be the way they were. For example, the shape and structure of some trilobite calcite lenses are thought to have adapted to overcome spherical aberration. However, the function of the trident-like piece sticking out of some trilobites' heads is a mystery for scientists. So we'll have to see if they ever figure that out as time goes by. Although there are many mysteries, it's clear that new information is discovered by scientists all around the world fairly frequently. Just this year, scientists used exceptionally preserved trilobite fossils from China, which date back to more than 500 million years ago. But what's really special about these fossils is that they have revealed new insight into the trilobite's digestive system. The new study shows that at least 2 trilobite species evolved a stomach structure 20 million years earlier than previously thought. So, as I said, there's new information being discovered all the time, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's even more surprising revelations or discoveries in the coming years. Trilobites have been found all around the world, which has showed scientists that trilobites were present in all different areas of the sea. Because they were around for so long, this really isn't that surprising that you can find them so commonly. Probably because they're so common, there are many people around the world who enjoy collecting trilobite fossils, although it can be tough to find complete trilobite fossils, so when someone like a paleontologist finds one, it can be a very successful day for them. But this interest in trilobite fossils isn't anything new. Some trilobite fossils have been found in human burial mounds dating back more than 50,000 years. And long ago, Native Americans regarded trilobite fossils as good luck, and some even believe they held special powers. The Native Americans had a special name for trilobites, Timpe Kanitsa Pakwe, which roughly translates to little bug living in a house of stone. So I've talked about how scientists have used fossils to analyze the morphology and thus make conclusions about how the trilobites that roamed our planet long ago behaved when it comes to self-defense and the possibility of seeing. But the next main area of research for trilobites has been determining what their diet consisted of and how exactly they ate and digested their food. So, because trilobites occupied a huge set of habitats around the Earth's oceans, from tropical shallows, reefs, polar depths, their diversity of form that scientists have discovered that I discussed earlier suggests a variety of different eating habits. There's been a long history of speculation about the feeding habits of trilobites, ranging from predators, scavengers, filter feeders, free swimmers, planktivores, and even parasites. Using modern-day crustaceans as a guide, it's reasonable for scientists to suggest that the majority of trilobites may have been predator scavengers, as the majority of marine crustaceans are today. Most early trilobites are thought to have been predators of benthic invertebrates, such as worms. Scientists have used the method of analyzing fossilized trilobite trails in order to figure this. Many fossilized trilobite trails sometimes stop when they intersect worm burrows, which suggests that the trilobite was hunting for worms and stopped to eat when it found one in its burrow. Scientists believe the worm was then taken from its home, subdued and crushed or torn apart with the trilobite legs, and then passed forward between the legs to the anterior mouth where the worm was processed and later ingested. Now, although many scientists believe trilobites to mainly be predatory, a large proportion of trilobites have natant hippistomes, which scientists suggest indicates a shift away from trilobites being predators and into them being particle feeders. As one could assume from the name, particle feeders usually scavenge for bits of other organisms, or they'll just graze on beds of algae. Because trilobites were so successful and lived for such a long time, it's no question that scientists have been eager to know for sure how trilobites reproduced. While doing my research for this, I was very surprised to find out that until this year, scientists were not really sure how trilobites reproduced. The discovery that these extinct marine organisms laid eggs provides the first direct evidence for how they reproduced. Thomas Hegna of Western Illinois University in Macomb and his colleagues were the first ones who discovered these ancient trilobite eggs in New York State, in rocks about 450 million years old. The eggs are spherical, almost 200 micrometers in diameter, and lie near several well-preserved trilobite fossils. As you can see in this photo, it's believed that the small dots around this trilobite are eggs used for mating. Scientists say that trilobites may have released eggs through pores at or near the back of their heads. The scientists found all this information out by using the method of collecting the specimens, which would be the fossils, and using software to produce a 3D model of the specimens. They were then able to magnify and look even closer at the fossils and eggs to determine even more about how trilobites reproduced. A contributing method that allows scientists to make a hypothesis on how trilobites lived is by examining similar creatures that are alive today. One of the trilobite's closest living relatives, the horseshoe crab, carries its unfertilized eggs internally with an ovarian network within the head, which can give scientists hints about how trilobites may have carried and produced their eggs. As I mentioned earlier, new research might show how trilobites weren't restricted to living only in water. New information shows that contrary to their reputation of being strictly marine organisms, trilobites may have crawled out of the water and up onto tidal flats. Fossils found in Canada in rock deposits from ancient tidal flats reveal that trilobites took to the land during the Cambrian explosion some million years ago, when the number of animal species increased drastically. The team discovered the fossils along with the fossilized tracks and rocks from the U.S. Appalachian Mountains. The rocks also showed signs of cracks from periodic drying, hinting that they originated in a tidal flat zone. So, the finding supports the idea that the creatures evolved from marine rather than freshwater ancestors. Intertidal zones could have provided food or safe havens for these animals, the researchers suggest. So, I found that to be very interesting as trilobites kind of look like they could be on land, personally. They kind of remind me of beetles, so it's neat that they may have actually served some time out of water. So during this presentation, I explored the history of trilobites, the techniques and methods scientists have used to gather info on trilobites during the Cambrian period, and then also some interesting things that we've discovered about the trilobite species. I really enjoyed researching and learning more about these ancient creatures, and I look forward to hearing about new discoveries as time goes on. Thanks for watching.